Hello everyone and welcome to week 7. This week we are going to be taking our exploration of intrapersonal communication and our understanding of autoethnography and putting them together and actually trying to produce autoethnographic narratives for our discussion boards. So what I want to do is I want to just give a little bit of a further walkthrough to autoethnographic writing. And then set you loose on the discussion boards this week. So, excuse me. Thank you. So let's just dive right in. Okay. So last week I had you take a look at some different autoethnographic products that were written by undergraduate students, and some of them were really great examples. Some of them were not so great as examples, which you pointed out, which is fine. I think that's what happens. Some are going to be of higher quality than more higher quality. I am on cold medicine, so I'm sorry. Some are going to be of higher quality than others. That's not a hard sentence to say, but it is today for some reason. And you did a really good job pointing out the things that were evocative about it, but how some of them were still confusing, and how you're not really sure how to integrate citations into the writing. So that's what we're going to do in this short screencast this week. So let's talk about writing autoethnography, and let's start with one of the most important things. Remember, it's about story, and stories have to be evocative. Okay? So that is one of your first goals as you are preparing your autoethnographic pieces for the discussion board this week, and then for your final paper in the class, is really try to be evocative. Now, if you've taken a writing class on campus at Front Range, you've probably been told this. Show, don't tell. This is a really good way of pushing yourself to be evocative in your writing. Showing, not telling, allows us to take the reader into the moment in ways that just describing something doesn't. Okay? And so your challenge is to bring us into, not in an uncomfortable way right away. I mean, it might be later, but your challenge is to bring us, the reader, into your inner communicative world, and doing that in a way where we are sensing what you're sensing and feeling what you're feeling on some level, not just hearing about it, not just seeing what you saw, but sort of feeling what you felt, tasting what you tasted, smelling what you smelled. Okay? So show, don't tell. So be descriptive. Set the stage. Set the scene. Tell us what's going on. Don't just, dive in. So for the discussion board this week, and I'm going to talk about that some more at the end, but for the discussion board this week, you're going to be writing an autoethnographic sample of just a conversation you've had with yourself recently. So this is some of your intrapersonal communication. So set the stage. Don't just say, so I woke up and started talking to myself. No, set the scene. What temperature was the room that you woke up in? What position did you wake up in? Were you serenely asleep, or did you wake up sort of in this weird kind of, strange position? Did your alarm wake you up? Did you wake up before the alarm? Was it the 5 minutes before the alarm's going to go off? Because that's really horrible. Really set the scene. Put us there. Put us in the place where we really understand what's going on, okay? So definitely show, don't tell. Give us the details. Set the stage, set the scene, and then think about incorporating the senses, okay? Even though you're talking about a conversation with yourself, think about everything that's going on around you while you're doing this, okay? You might just be laying in bed thinking to yourself about what you have to do for the day. Great. That's a perfect example of some self-talk for the discussion board this week. But incorporate the senses into that. Maybe you're laying in bed and you're thinking about what to do for the day, and it's raining outside and you can smell that, or if you're really lucky, someone's cooking some breakfast in the house and you can smell that, or you've got someone in the house who gets up early and listens to music and you can hear that sort of through the wall, or maybe you have a neighbor who does that sort of thing, or maybe your neighbors are arguing or something like that. Incorporating those different things is going to give us a sense of scene and a sense of really what's going on as you're writing your autoethnographic narratives for the final paper, but then especially just for the discussion board this week. So think about how to incorporate the senses. It would be really easy and tempting even to just kind of sit down and say, I laid in bed this morning and went over my to-do list. First, I thought about how I need to get milk. Second, I thought about, oh my goodness, I had better make sure that I take the trash out because the trash day is today, and I better get it down before 10 a.m. or whatever. That's the telling. Make sure you set the stage by incorporating the senses. And then take some time to craft your story. This discussion board this week is all about you getting a chance to just try it out. This is the test drive for autoethnography. I know you've sort of done some in your journals so far, and they're looking really good. But this is the real test drive. This is the one where you're like, yes, I am trying autoethnography. I'm going to write it up. I'm going to post it on the discussion board, and I'm going to have people read it. And what I've done is I've given you a prompt that's hopefully not too personal. I mean, it could just be you sitting in your car at a stoplight thinking about how funny the song is that the car next to you is sounding or whatever, okay? I mean, it doesn't have to be deeply personal writing for the discussion board this week. But take some time to craft the story, okay? Take some time to sit there and go, if I were writing this and I really wanted someone to like this, what would I do? So instead of writing something that is just to get through for the discussion board, try to craft something. See what it takes to get that setting, to make sure there's some sort of plot. What type of character development needs to be there? Maybe there needs to be dialogue, stuff like that, okay? And then also try this, okay? So, evocative, but also scholarly and academic. It sounds weird to put the two together, doesn't it? Sometimes, but it's actually not. So think about how you want to incorporate analysis into your writing, okay? So as you're writing about this intrapersonal communication that you choose for this week, think about what types of analysis you can do, okay? Now, all you really have to do is link it to terms and concepts, things we've been talking about in our class over the course of the entire semester. So, self-talk, intrapersonal communication, reality, self, identity, personality, anything we've talked about, imagined interaction theory, all really easy ways to link. Now, how does that look? People were asking this last week. How does that look? Well, let me give you some examples, okay? So, first of all, you could do narrative, analysis, narrative. You could actually just break your text up into chunks, where chunk number 1 is story. And then chunk number 2 is, here is me analyzing that story in a completely different voice. That's fine. And then right back to the story again, and then analysis again. You can do that. You can have story voice and then analysis voice. That works great. You could do a unified text where it's all just one big text and it's all one voice and you just intermix. And while you're telling your story, you can say, I was laying in bed, and while I was thinking through my day and smelling the whatever, I'm talking right now, so it's a little different, and while I'm thinking through my to-do list for the day, I start to have an imagined interaction with my boss because we've really been having some tension going on or whatever. And right there, I've already incorporated some analysis, and then after I have my imagined interaction, I start to realize that it was meant for me to prep for the conversation, and it was a proactive imagined interaction. And so me talking about that is me being scholarly and academic and analyzing it as I'm telling the story, okay? So that's really the difference here. Let me show you a couple of examples here. So this might seem weird, but I have some pieces I've published. And one of them is an autoethnographic piece. And so this is a piece I published back in 2009. You can see it way, way back when. And what I did in this piece, and don't try to read this, just take a look at the format here. You can break up the text using asterisks. There's all sorts of different ways you can do this, okay? And so you can use asterisks to throw little phrases in. You can use asterisks to break up large chunks of text. You can You can throw in poetry like this. And as you can see, I've got citations right here. In the midst of all the writing that I'm doing, you can see that well, uh, I've got my stuff in the way here. I can't click. Here we go. So I've got citations throughout. One right here. I mean, see how they're out? They're everywhere. Okay. Now yours don't have to be like this. This is a scholarly peer-reviewed journal that I submitted this to. Okay, but you can do it in chunks. It's really easy. Or you could do a unified type text. I've actually kind of done both here. I've got chunks and I've got unified text. So I've got chunks here. This is story and this is more analysis here. But then later in the piece, I'll sort of do a unified text type thing, okay? So you can do this in all sorts of different ways. Just try it out, folks. You're not going to get it wrong this time. The point right now is to give it a go, okay? The main thing is do what works for you in your story. And my advice to you is write the story first. Sit down and start to write the story. And as you are writing the story, you're going to realize, oh my gosh, this links to the stuff we did in week 4, or oh my gosh, this links to the stuff in week 3. Okay? So to finish up for this week, especially since I've been sick and I'm starting now, you're getting all the stuff on Tuesday, I want to talk about the discussion board. I've switched the dates around a little bit for us this week, okay? And I need to find my stuff here. Here we go. So here is the first discussion board. And it's the only discussion board this week, okay? So this week is very different. This week we have one discussion board and 2 journals, okay? We haven't had that combination yet. We've had 2 discussion boards and 1 journal, but we haven't had 1 board, 2 journals. That's what we have this week. So this week we have 1 discussion board. So let's take a look at this, okay? So I mean, you can read the directions, right? You are going to write an autoethnographic narrative of a conversation you had with yourself recently, okay? You're going to then post it to the discussion board. Now, the thing that I want to make clear here is this. The dates have shifted, okay? Your initial discussion board post is due Friday. Normally, it's due Wednesday. This week, it's due Friday. First of all, I was sick, and this is coming up on Tuesday. Secondly, I want you to have time to sit and write this stuff. I want you to have time to really think it through and try to write this, because it would be really cool if you could take this later and put it into your final paper somehow in some form or fashion, okay? So think of it as time invested now will pay off in the long run, okay? And then your 2 responses. And you only need to do 2 responses. And the reason why you only need to do 2 responses is because these posts are probably going to be a little bit longer than usual. And so just read the 2 responses, or so read 2 and then respond to 2 of your peers, okay? And that's due Sunday. It's usually due Friday, but everything this week is due on Sunday, all right? And now you still do have the 2 journals you need to do, okay? You still got a journal 1 and a journal 2. You're doing more autoethnography in your journals, but this is going to be one where people will read your stuff, all right? This is a chance for you to see what everybody's doing and kind of get some ideas of how this can look and how this can work for you in this class, okay? So take some time this week to write. That's what it's all about. You've got 1 screencast. There's no real notes to deal with. It's all about you writing this week. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I have been sick. I'm behind on my email, but I'm working on getting myself caught back up and grading like a crazy person. So I look forward to your autoethnographic discussion boards this week. I'll see you there.